The Mokele Mbembe, also called the Congo River dinosaur, is a putative large aquatic reptile said to inhabit the Congo River in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Said to resemble a dinosaur, the Mbembe has been sighted hundreds of times by local people who claim it feeds on their livestock. Some have suggested that the Mbembe could be a surviving member of the ancient order of reptiles known as the plesiosaurs. However, there is no evidence that any such creatures ever existed outside of the fossil record, nor is there any evidence that any fossils of plesiosaurs or their close relatives have ever been found in Africa. In the early to mid-20th century, the entity would become a point of focus among adherents of cryptozoology and young Earth creationism, resulting in numerous expeditions being led by cryptozoologists and or funded by young Earth creationists and other groups with the objective to find evidence that invalidates or contradicts the scientific consensus regarding evolution. Paleontologist Donald Prothero remarks that the quest for Mokele Mbembe is part of the effort by creationists to overthrow the theory of evolution and teaching of science by any means possible. Additionally, Prothero noted that the only people looking for Mokele Mbembe are creationist ministers, not wildlife biologists. The first purported sighting of the Mokele Mbembe was in 1911 when a railroad crew reported seeing a large, long-necked creature while sailing on the Congo River. The following year, a British explorer named Sir Raymond West also claimed to have seen the animal. Between 1930 and 1932, a hunter named Pierre Debron claimed to have killed several of the creatures, but admitted that they were so bizarre that he could not bring himself to eat them. He said that the meat was tough like hippopotamus and had a strong fishy odor. In 1950, G.A. Miller, the director of the Institute for the Study of Man, organized an expedition to capture a live specimen. Despite finding tracks and other evidence, the team was ultimately unsuccessful. In 1959, Roy M. Wagner, a zoologist at the Chicago Academy of Sciences, led an expedition into the Congo to search for the animal. Wagner's search was prompted by newspaper clippings that he had seen about the earlier expeditions and the apparent lack of follow-up from the scientific community. His team also failed to find any conclusive evidence of the animal's existence. Perhaps the most famous expedition to find the Mokele Mbembe was the one financed by the American Bible Society in 1960. Led by Ivan Sanderson and Carl Baugh, this team of 4 spent 5 months searching for the creature with no success. Baugh later wrote a book about the expedition entitled The Footprints of the Dinosaur. In 1980, a French research team claimed to have collected 350 plaster casts of footprints, which they believed were made by a dinosaur. The tracks were supposedly discovered at a site called Lokonji, near where other researchers had previously found dinosaur fossils. However, these tracks were later dismissed as being the result of bullfrogs. Another notable expedition was that of Roy M. Wagner and Carl Baugh in 1983. Their search was based on the reports of a local man who claimed to have seen the Mokele Mbembe. Despite an extensive search, all they found was a large rock that vaguely resembled the supposed creature. As of today, there is still no concrete evidence that the Mokele Mbembe exists. Most scientists agree that if such a creature did exist, it would have been discovered by now. Furthermore, there is no evidence to support the claim that dinosaurs ever inhabited Africa. Please like and subscribe the Mokele Mbembe, a large, possibly long-necked, dinosaur-like creature said to inhabit the Congo River in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, has captured the attention of people who believe that dinosaurs and humans coexisted. In the early to mid-20th century, the entity would become a point of focus among adherents of cryptozoology and young Earth creationism, resulting in numerous expeditions being led by cryptozoologists and or funded by young Earth creationists and other groups with the objective to find evidence that invalidates or contradicts the scientific consensus regarding evolution. Paleontologist Donald Prothero remarks that the quest for Mokele Mbembe is part of the effort by creationists to overthrow the theory of evolution and teaching of science by any means possible. Additionally, Prothero noted that the only people looking for Mokele Mbembe are creationist ministers, not wildlife biologists. The first expedition to search for the animal was led by a pair of American missionaries in 1930, but it was the following year that the creature started to receive significant attention from cryptozoologists. After the publication of a book titled The Dinosaur Story, which described the animal's alleged existence, a local hunter named Peter Paul testified that he had previously seen the creature. According to Peter Paul, the Mbembe was a real animal that lived in a forest near the river, and that it was hunted by man in the past. However, they were unable to kill it because its hide was too thick for their arrows. He further stated that the Mbilu, as it is known locally, is an amphibious animal, spending time both in the water and on land. Peter Paul also claimed that the Mbembe laid eggs, which is corroborated by other anecdotal accounts. A Swiss cryptozoologist, admittedly with limited knowledge of the area he was exploring, claimed to have located the Mbilu's supposed nest in a swampy region near the Congo River. This particular expedition was funded by the aforementioned books as author and another religious organization called the Bible Science Association. While there, the team discovered large footprints which they believed were made by the mother Mbilu and which they dated to be around 2 weeks old. They also found what they believed to be the remains of an eggshell, though this was later determined to be of bird origin. Furthermore, they came across some bones which they claimed were fossilized remains of the Mokele Mbembe itself. These bones were never properly identified, however, and the expedition's cryptozoologist would later admit that he could not actually confirm that they came from a dinosaur. Despite this, the expedition concluded that the area in which they had searched was likely where the Mokele Mbembe lived, with one member stating that it is reasonable to conclude that the Mokele Mbembe does live in this territory. This was not the only expedition, however, with several others taking place over the years, all with the common goal of finding evidence to support the idea that the Mokele Mbembe is real. One such expedition was funded by the aforementioned Young Earth Creationist Organization, ICR, who sent a team into the jungle to search for the creature. As with many of the previous expeditions, the team was led by a self-proclaimed expert in cryptozoology rather than a professional biologist or paleontologist. And as with many of the previous expeditions, nothing was found. Paleontologist and chair of the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, Dr. David S. Scott states that the continued belief in the Mokele Mbembe is due to a lack of scientific training and understanding on the part of the general populace, which results in the misidentification of known animals and the invention of unknown ones. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more.